This is AI.R. Artists in Residence Broadcasting, coming to you once a week from New York City. Hello, I'm John Cullum, and this is Emily Frankel.
And we're going to do a post today for my blog,
Okay.
M's Talkery.
Good.
Are you getting tired of hearing that?
M's Talkery?
Yeah.
No,
You get tired of me talking about my blog?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I mean,
then I think I'll hire you.
Okay, that's what
I'm hiring you to do this little discussion with me.
Okay.
For a would-be young actor or actress who wants some advice about how to become a star like John Cullum. So, what would you recommend essentially for a young man, but it fits for what a young girl would need to do also, if they wanted to become a musical theater star and an actor like you?
Well, that's a kind of
simple question.
Yeah, it's a simple question. Yeah, so much of my career seems to have been based on luck, but the truth is, I was always prepared to do what I was offered.
When you came to New York, you came to New York with a letter from a guy.
Yeah.
Tell our audience what that guy said in his letter.
Well, it was to William Liebling was one of the big agents in New York at the time, and he was handling Tallulah Bankhead. I remember, and I walked in with a friend of mine who was a big fat boy, and he'd just come along for the ride. And I had this letter of introduction from my college professor, and he was on the telephone talking to Tallulah. And
Tallulah, wow.
Yeah, and
you must have been like, whoa.
I was a little impressed, I must admit. And I handed him this letter, and he looked at it and put it down and kept on talking. And he kept looking at my friend, and finally he put the telephone down and said, well, he says, do you have any pictures? And he didn't even look at me. And he said, no, I don't have pictures. And he says, well, you should get some composites because you are a very good type. And you should go to a place called Max Richards where they do a lot of, they handle a lot of people that look like you. And he said, my friend said, well, but it wasn't for me that we came in here. It's Mr. Cullum is the one who is going to be in New York. I'm not even going to be staying in New York. And he looked at me and said, do you have a job? And I said, well, no, I don't. And he said, do you plan to get one? And I said, well, yes, but I kind of got the drift of whichever. And I said, but as an actor. And he said, my advice to you is to go back to Knoxville, Tennessee. I said, well, thank you very much, but I don't intend to follow your advice. And he apologized because he had kind of overstepped his limits. That
was a thrill for you, wasn't it? That really just bolstered you.
Yeah, well, and he told me, he gave me a good bit of advice, but
he told you to go get a magazine interview.
Show business.
Yeah, show business.
Down on 50th Street and Broadway.
Okay, now get to the nitty-gritty. What is your advice for that young man out there who's waiting for you to give him a clue, a clue for how to become as good as you became?
Well, you can get that magazine at Variety and follow up all the leads and do all that stuff. That's what you have to do. But the truth is, unless you're prepared to sing, to dance, to act, and
to say yes to everything.
Yeah, but I'll tell you the truth, Emily. This is a question you kind of sprung on me here, but the real truth is that you have to have it in your heart.
What do you mean?
Well, when a person...
You mean an ambition?
Yes, you have to really want it. And when an actor asks me the question you ask me, I usually tell them, if you have to ask me, then you're not going to make it.
Okay, that's good. You know. I like that as a theme.
Yeah.
That if you have it in your heart and you can get a job or you can say yes to all the things that are suggested, not because you can necessarily do them wonderfully, but you're willing to go in and dive in.
Right.
That is the secret of becoming a John Cullum.
That's the only way you can really...
Now sum it up, John, because I don't want to go on for on and on and on with this. You'll discourage
Well,
people.
yes, I mean, absolutely. It's really not a very difficult thing. You just stick your nose in there and keep going, and you'll make it.
Okay.
Is that short enough for you?
That's very good, John.
Listen, I'll tell you one thing. You never quit working, because I've had about 5 breaks in my career, and people always talk about getting the big break. Well, it doesn't matter. Once you get a big break, you have to get another and another.
Thank you very much, John.
Well, you're welcome, Emily. And next time I'm going to ask you how you got going and how other people can get going. Well, that's another time. In the meantime, we'll see you next week, and enjoy being with you. So long.
Bye.
This is AI.R. See you next week.